Hey friends, I always forget to move my monitor down every time I start. Yeah, sorry for the break last week. I was at React Rally. Things went well. I think the videos should be up pretty soon. Yeah, I talked about, my talk was called Simply React. I did a practice run on my YouTube channel a little bit ago, but you can see the official deal here in a couple days, I think. But yeah, this morning, I was looking through some of the email that I missed over last week, and one of them was I think it was HTML5 Weekly or one of those weekly emails from Cooper Press. And it was listed this from HTML thing as just a project that seemed interesting. Um, and yeah, it seems like a pretty interesting project, kind of um, a balance or like somewhere in between React and just document.createElement stuff. Yeah, I probably wouldn't use this for anything real, but it does seem like a pretty interesting idea anyway. And so whenever I come across one of these, I always think, hey, I wonder what it would be like to create a testing library for this thing. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So here like all of these are actually just um, like you call from HTML and you get back an object that has an item for every DOM node in here where you're adding a ref. Then there's some options and things. You can automatically add event handlers and have those bound here for you. And then they have this suggestion down here to make it work nicely with classes. But there's nothing specific about the library that requires you to use classes or anything like that. But if you were going to build like components out of these, then you'd probably want to use classes. So I created a little testing library that works like straight up calling this with HTML. But if you want to have any sort of interactivity, you're going to need some state, and that state will live. Well, actually, the state lives in the DOM, even in this situation. And I'm not quite sure of the great mechanism for making state live within the component itself, like in the JavaScript, in JavaScript objects, and then having that update the DOM, like without doing a full re-render of everything. So yeah, there's a little bit of DOM manipulation here to make this work at all. But yeah, so here I've got a vanilla version of Code Sandbox, and you can on and off the button here. The way that works is just that same switch button. I just copied this over. We mount it. If we look at index.js, we create a new switch button. We mount it. App. We mount the switch button on the app. And then here we're saying we have an on button and an off button. They're provided on ref. And with this second argument, we're providing an object to have it attach the refs to rather than returning the refs. And then we're going to attach those refs onto the refs property. So then we can say this.refs.container and so on. So yeah, that's what's going on. It's pretty straightforward. So let's see what it would be like to test this. So first of all, we're going to import switch button from switch button. And then we'll have a test and toggle switch. Yep. And so that's not going to be enough for us. We're going to we need to actually render this thing somehow. So let's go ahead and we'll make our switch button instance equals a new switch button. Then we'll create a div, or our container equals document.createElement div. And then here, let me get rid of this. Too much stuff I don't really. Okay. And then we'll say switch button instance.mount onto the container. And then if we console.log switch button instance, or actually container.inner HTML, And we can see, ta-da, nice. Okay, so from HTML works. That. Okay, cool. Okay, so with that, I now want to be able to interact with the elements. And so like, here's one thing I could do is I just say buttons equals container dot get by elements by tag name button, and then const on button equals button. Oops, this is buttons at 0 here. And actually, let's just destructure that off button. Alright, I'm not going to destructure that because it'll make it easier to refactor later. Off button equals buttons at 1. And then I will do on, or actually it initializes to have on is the one that's rendered. So we'll say on button dot click and expect on button dot hidden to be true. And we'll just do set false. Okay. Here. Okay, so this one is true. Oh, that's off button. There we go. Cool. Okay, so it works, and we could test it like this, and it would work just fine. Let's abstract this a little bit. So we're gonna make a function called render, and we'll take a from HTML class, and I was just checking the chat because I'd like move things around. Hi. So we'll do like pretty much this work. Oh, here just these 3 lines, I guess. In here instead. So we'll say new, capitalize that, and we'll instance mount, and we'll return container and instance. Get our container from render switch button. Get rid of that stuff. Cool. Okay. Oh, we gotta not call it. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that simplified things a little bit. Now, let's bring in DOM testing library because I don't like selecting buttons like this. It's gonna bust when we refactor. So I'm gonna import, let's see, get queries. Oh, I forgot what it's called. Let me check really quick. Get queries for element from DOM testing library, which I already installed. And then we'll thread get queries for element on the container. And now that we have that, we don't need the container anymore. We can get by text, and we can get rid of this. And the on button is get by text on, ignore case, we don't care. It doesn't care what case it is, neither me. Off, and sweet, we're working. Nice, that was pretty easy. Okay, so then I don't like calling DOM methods. I'm not sure why. I should have investigated it earlier, but I had some trouble before clicking things multiple times where this didn't work very well. So I'm going to bring in fire event, and we'll use fire event.click. On top of that, fire event will also get us like make sure that it bubbles like it would in the browser, and you can do like mouse over and other things that you can't actually call directly on DOM elements. Here, let's add another set of assertions here for off. So when I click on off, this should be false and true. Okay, cool. Let's see, what else could we do to simplify this? I think that's actually pretty much it. Yeah, now I'm just trying to think if there was anything else. No, not really. I mean, so I also had thought about making render accept a string as well, and if it's a string, then it'll just call for HTML or from HTML for you. But I decided that's not necessary. So if I were going to make this a real library, this is what that file would look like. From HTML testing library.js, and then here I'll take this stuff, put it in here, and we don't need fire event. Then we'll export render, and then before that I'll export star from DOM testing, because that's what the other testing libraries do, and I feel like it's a pretty good strategy. But now I can import render and fire event from HTML. Get rid of that. Sweet. Is there. Ta-da! Yeah, so there you go. It's kind of fun to make these little testing libraries. They're pretty simple and straightforward. If you take a look at the React DOM or the React one, pretty simple. It does a little bit of extra work to mount it into the document because the way that React does event bubbling and event delegation and stuff, it needs to be in the document for the fire event stuff to work. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll paste a link to this in the description of the video, and you can check that out. And oh, because somebody's going to ask, the reason my Chrome looks different than yours probably is because this is using Chrome Canary. My regular Chrome install is busted and I don't know what's wrong, so I'm using Canary. So in a couple weeks, everybody's Chrome is going to look like this. Okay, if I look tired, it's because I am. It's been a long last couple weeks, but life's good. There was one other thing. Oh yeah, yeah. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to my newsletter, because I send out a email, like a blog post email kind of thing, every week, and it's normally really interesting. And so if you haven't heard of my newsletter, go take a look. You can also subscribe to the RSS feed too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Bye.